Hello, friends. Welcome back to another episode of the School of Self Worth. I'm your host, Nicole Song. Today, I get to share with you one of my absolute favorite types of episodes that we do here. It is the Your Clear Calling Success Series, where I sit down with my remarkable students to talk about how their lives have been completely transformed by your clear calling. If you don't already know about my signature program, it is the exact step by step system for Asian American corporate leaders to regulate their emotions, to reverse cultural conditioning, and to feel purposeful and to get promoted in 60 days. I am so proud of the women who take on the transformation and really step into a life where they are thriving. Today, I'm sitting down with Nash. And when she came to me, she had made a major move to a new city. And for her, she had actually was feeling a little bit more grounded in her career than she had previously, but she was not feeling really clear about her relationships, her friendships in the new city, her relationships with her family. By the end of the course, she had completely flipped how she felt about her move. She had improved her relationships with her family in so many levels, and she came out feeling like she was on track and knew exactly how 2026 was going to go. Before we dig into hearing more details about this extraordinary experience that Nash had inside the course, if you see yourself in any way in her experience and you want to know what it feels like to be on track in your own life and in your career, DM me on track at Nicole Song on Instagram. I've got something over there for you and we can chat more about it. Okay, friends, let's get into this inspiring conversation. Well, friends, I am so excited to be here today with my client, Nash. Welcome to the School of Self Worth.
Hello, nice to see you, Nicole.
It's so great to have you here. It's always my favorite podcast episodes when I get to talk to clients and share their story and have them share their story directly with everyone who's listening. And so I just like to get into it because we get the opportunity to really hear, like on the ground, what happens inside the course. Because I think for those of you who are considering it or have thought about it, it can be a little mysterious. Like, what are they doing in there? What's happening? Why do people have such amazing results? And Nash is definitely one of those people who have come out with just like really incredible, for me, like moving transformation. And so, Nash, what I would love to do is take you back several months to when you started your clear calling. And I'm curious if you can even remember distinctly. Sometimes when we've been through transformation, we have to really think back to like what was it we were struggling with. But can you remember like what was it that brought you to me and that made you feel like, yes, this is actually the place I need to work on and this is what I want to work on?
Yeah, so I guess my journey when I had first had our conversation about whether this was a good fit or not, I really stressed the importance of finding a coach that understood the cultural issues that as Asian Americans we face, because there's a lot of
Mhm.
um, I would say, family related, related trauma that can shape, how we perceive things and how we feel about ourselves. So for me, identifying someone that understood the trauma related to some of our upbringing and our backgrounds and the difference in our backgrounds, even though I realize the trauma itself is the same, the feeling and the experience of trauma is the same, it we're shaped by so many different um, upbringings, right? But it ultimately leads to the same type of outcome where we feel, well, I felt, I should just speak for myself in this case, but I felt like, I was feeling like I was small at the time and didn't have a way to really articulate what I was going through. And I needed to just kind of get out of this mindset where I was constantly, looking for the next thing. Um, I guess for me, the reason why coaching was something that I was gravitating to is because I needed something that was actionable. Versus therapy it was a lot of talk therapy, but I wasn't seeing things that I could do in my day to help me change my mindset, if that makes
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah, and if I'll just
Yeah.
bring oh, sorry, go ahead. Yeah, but
No, go ahead.
what
You're
I
fine.
remember at the time when we met, because you had just moved to buy the dental practice that you own, right?
Yes.
And you had
Yeah.
been there for like a year-ish or so, and that was like a
Hmm.
really big career accomplishment. So you kind of differ from a lot of other women who enter who are coming in for a promotion or to advance their career. And I remember at the time you said, you're like, "Well, I actually feel like I did that. And then now I'm trying to figure out everything else that's going on in my life." And if
Hmm.
you could
Yeah.
talk a little bit more, like, were you feeling stressed or anxious? Like, what was happening for you at that time?
Yeah, I think when I reached out to you, Nicole, there was a lot of movement in my life. There was a lot of changes, a lot of, things that are pushing me, challenging me, and causing me to rethink and try to evaluate, what is it that I want? And I started
Mm,
to ask those questions. And I was asking those questions early on, but I was so focused on just getting to the next thing in my life because I felt like the next thing is what's going to bring me fulfillment, that I was ignoring a lot of the other wants and needs and the things that truly that would give me a sense of contentment, right? So
mm,
I was doing a lot of I guess self-healing or just looking into psychology and just, trying to understand where um where my desire to always chase the next thing came from, um, and not feeling grounded. So I think in your case, a lot of people come to you because they're looking to get to the next thing. I was already at the next thing. And I was
mhm,
like, is this right? Like, what am I doing? Like, I'm
mm,
just like chasing the thing that I thought I want, and which is what I wanted at the time. But I'm like, okay, is this what I really is this how I really see my life? Like always just kind of chasing. Um,
mm,
because that's what I felt. If I just got to the next thing, that's what was going to bring me a sense of fulfillment or I guess joy in my life, but ignoring the other essential components that really allowed me to feel, full. And
mhm,
it wasn't just, and I wanted to get out of that mode where I was only focused on accomplishments. I wanted to really see my life in a much more greater sense than what's on paper, if that makes sense.
Well, I feel like a lot of this happens, and this is super common for Asian American women, is that we're taught to constantly chase the thing that's going to be on paper, like the next, where you go to college, the career you have, how
Yeah.
much money you make, and those are things I would put like on paper. And then you get those things, and then there can be a sense of like, is that all there is? Like, I did it, and
Right.
now what? And then those people also come to me because there's a crossroads of like, what is it that I'm really looking for? And, I think about this. I was talking about this on a training the other day. Like, the ultimate destination of my course in Your Clear Calling really is promoted and purposeful, because it's not just about
Mm,
chasing the thing. It's like, how do I feel purposeful? How do I feel like I'm on track? And so I feel like you're really
right.
speaking to that, even though that wasn't
Yeah.
those weren't the words you used, but that was still the sense I was really getting from what you were talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
agree. I think for me is I thought I knew what I wanted, and yes, it was at the time, and I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I took
Mhm.
those leaps because it's really pushed me, and I like to be challenged. I'm not one to shy away, um, but I think sometimes I have to reassess and be like, is this worth it? Is this worth the changes that I'm, encountering? And how much can I tolerate, right? There's this
Mhm.
mental, you know, um, weight that comes with any change. It's like, do I have the right infrastructure or the network to help me overcome or get through those stressful times? And if I don't, how do I start to find those things or use things that will ground me and make me feel like okay,
Mm.
at the in those
Mhm.
very stressful situations, where how do I ground myself? How do I get back to things that allow me to connect, um, so that I don't feel so, I guess, out of body and just always in my head?
Mm.
Does that make
Yeah.
sense? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what would you say then? Because that is actually pretty much what we focus on at the very beginning of the course, right? And what would you
Yeah.
say for yourself you found at the beginning when you were starting to just build into the practices that we teach inside your clear calling?
Yeah, I would say in the beginning, I was very nervous and I was very shy. I don't know if you noticed that during our calls, Nicole, but at first, the idea of opening up to a complete group of strangers and really just talking in the most honest and authentic way, right? I was like, "Oh my gosh, how much do I wanna share in this call?" But I allowed myself to really pour out. Like, I was like an
Mhm.
open book. I don't know if you got that from our conversation, but I try not to hold back because I realize the more I'm honest and open and able to create space for myself and others, like, that's what's gonna really drive this whole thing, and it's going to
Mhm.
really show, in the growth. So for me, I knew that starting off, that's what I had to do. It was intentional. Like, I wanted to really bring my, true self into the group and just, talk as openly as I can without any kind of restriction. um and that allowed me to feel comfortable enough to start to see those changes in myself, because again, in that shared communal space, when we're all talking about the things that has affected us, we realize there's so much commonality, and that shared commonality is what really allowed me to feel like, okay, you know we can do this. This is something that I can get through, this person can get through, and we're all here for each other, and we're all going to take away from this, with tools that we can use in our day to day. So I think just starting off being open and honest and just speaking frankly was the point where I start to see some shift, um, as well as I would say following the workbook, those phase one workbooks, and starting to implement the tools that are outlined. Um, when we talk about your morning, what was it? It was like me pee or something. What did you say? In phase one,
RPM. Mhm.
RPM, rest. What was it? Rest
It's
pee
rise,
me.
P me. Yeah,
Rise pee me. I'm so sorry. I butchered that. Okay.
it's all good. It's all
All
good.
right. You can edit that. It's fine.
Yeah.
But the RPM, the rise pee me, that I feel like, trying to incorporate that me piece and not just jumping into the next thing in the day and getting about our lives and our responsibilities, trying to find time for the thing that helps me connect to myself and to what I'm experiencing. The RPM for sure was one of the stepping stones.
And you saw a change from even just starting to do that right away.
Yeah, well, I've been on a meditation journey for some time now, but it's something that I'm trying to really ingrain in myself.
Mhm.
And I've started doing it little by little, 5, 10 minutes, as much as I can, every day. And so I'm trying to really make that a habit for myself, because
Mhm.
it's one thing that has made a lot of impact, in how I feel throughout the day and how I
Yeah.
react to things. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's amazing. Well, there's a couple things because I wanted to just go back to that piece when you're talking about how you decided to just share really openly. Because for a lot of, again, this is the cultural conditioning that I find that some women come in and they're like nervous to take up the space to actually
Mhm.
say, hey, I need help, or to tell their story or whatever is going on in their lives
Right.
because they're so used to holding back. And so I wanted to point it out because really what happened for you is you just decided not to let that hold you back, because that is where people get the most out of the course. And in fact, I think that's actually where the richness of it is that people can be in a group setting and then see, because I'm sure that you probably learned so much from the other women in the course who also did the same, who actually shared
Yes.
what was going on, right?
Yes. 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 100%. Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
we had some amazing women in our group, and truly, like, it's I don't know, it's so what's the word? It's just so enriching when you have all these amazing women from so many backgrounds to share openly about what they went through. And you just realize like you're not alone in this, right? So
Mhm.
whatever you've experienced, there's a good chance that someone has experienced something similar. And even if it's not the same experience, the shared trauma, right? We're all there to comfort each other, and we're all there speaking to eventually give someone else maybe some insight, perspective, and just, acknowledgement. I think it's really what we're all wanting is just a kind ear.
Well, and I would say too, like a big piece for a lot of women is like they want to be seen, but being seen also requires stepping up and sharing, right? And that's a lot of actually the
Yeah,
practice that you get inside the course is learning to talk in a way that's
right.
vulnerable and open, and then
Yeah.
being seen in a safe space teaches you to how to
Hmm.
do it in other places as well. And so I'm
Absolutely.
curious for you then, yeah, like what really started to change for you? Like, did you come in? You said you weren't coming in specifically for career, it's more like other areas of your life. Where did
Hmm.
you start to see changes in the rest of your life?
So, as I said, I had moved to a new place, starting out in a new city, um, you know, deciding to start my own business in a new city, and then also dealing with some family circumstances and health related issues, and having to always, being the oldest child, having to juggle multiple things, juggle my life, plus also be there for others, act as a caregiver. Um, Not always, I guess, looking inward to see how is all this affecting me, but feeling like I just have to do it. I just have to get it done. It was something to check off, but never to stop and ask, how am I feeling? How am I doing? Is this what I want? You know, um, and then do I need help? Like I've always been afraid to ask help. I've always considered myself very independent. So that's been something I've struggled with. So being in this new situation, I think just being in a coaching call was my ask. That was my reaching out, right? Um, and the impact that I noticed from just being in those group sessions and going through the YCC is the feeling that there is a shared community. I have family, I have friends, I have people I can lean on, that I shouldn't always think that it's all on me, that I don't
Mhm.
have all the answers, and I shouldn't try to, you know, I shouldn't always have to step up. I It's good to take accountability, but I can only be responsible for my actions, right? I can't influence others and their decision. And I think we talked about like the savior complex, and I think for me that's something that I have practiced. Growing up, always feeling like I'm the one who has to step in because no one else will. But I realized like I just need to sometimes take the back seat and observe. Um, so I think, again, just kind of stepping back, not always feeling like I have to be the one in control, and just kind of, I don't know, going with the flow.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
that's how I've kind of made those shifts. Yeah.
Well, and how has that then changed your life, like, in terms of your relationships with your family or people, like, your team at work? How is it different when you're no longer trying to control things all the time? Because I think there's a lot of perception for people that control is good, and it's not like we want to be like, "Oh, you have no control over your life," but it's more that I'm trying to control everything that's happening, right? Which we don't actually
Hmm.
have a control
Yeah.
over. So, what has changed for you around your relationships and the way you relate to people that you love? or care about?
Yeah, I think from a relationship standpoint, the way it's changed is, how should I say it? I'm less, well, here's the thing. The I am you are boundary, that's been really helpful. Boundary setting
Mhm.
has been really helpful. Um, I think relationship, I don't feel there's a lot of tension. Um, Prior to, I would say I felt like, there was this push and pull, I was giving and not receiving, or they wanted more and I wasn't able to, and I just always felt like, oh my gosh, this is just so much energy that's being, strained. And how do I make time? How do I give people energy when I don't have it or I'm not receiving it? Why am I still in this, you know, scenario? I realized, like, if I don't feel like my cup is being full, or if it's not getting filled, if my cup is not getting filled, then I am, you are. This is where, we have to start to set boundaries and differentiate and realize that this is something I even want. Um, if my energy is being pulled too much and I feel like I can't give, then I feel more comfortable, again, setting boundaries. I am, you are. This is what I can do. So I think
Mm.
just understanding my personal limitation and just sensing where I am in my own energy, um, and not necessarily expecting things from others. Because before I felt like, okay, well, if I do this, then they should be doing this, right? Like I had this
Mm.
expectation of what a good friend should be, what a good parent should be, what a good sibling should be. Like I had all these things in my head as to who these people are, which in reality, they're not who I want them to be. And that's okay. Because again, I
Mhm.
am, you are.
Yeah.
Um, so that's been big for me.
Well, what I'm hearing is that you're not trying to change other people,
Correct.
right? Which is
Yeah.
so tempting because we always want, like, oh, like, I want you to be different. I want you to behave differently. If you only did this, then we'd have a good relationship, right?
Yes.
Versus saying, like, oh, no, like, what I have a say in is how I'm going to be. And then you're
Yeah.
going to go do what you're going to do because you're a different person. And the more you can
Correct.
actually have that kind of healthy separation, then you can
Yes.
actually live your life versus like, oh, okay, like I'm going to do all these extra things for you. And then I'm going to be mad
Yeah.
because you don't do those things for me. Is that what it was like
Correct.
before?
Yes. Before it felt that way. And before I felt like relationships, I realized they can get severed, things
Hmm.
end. We don't always have to hold on to things and hope for things to change. If they're not meeting, your if they're not meeting the things that you want in a relationship, then it's okay to then end it in a healthy
Yeah.
way, right? But before I was just grasping for every
Mm.
connection that came my way, hoping it would just stick around. Um, and that was with pretty much all my relationships, family, friends. But now I've realized that it's okay if things don't work out the way you want it.
Mhm.
Um, and it opens up newer relationships, newer connection, right? I'm not so focused on someone who can't fill my cup.
Mhm.
Now I can be open to other connections.
Yeah.
So I think that's where that change has been.
Yeah. And that's
Mhm.
a really powerful place to be because it's like, I think sometimes we think that life is exactly like the screen, like the snapshot of your life right now is going to be forever. And it's just not true
Right.
because you evolve and
Yeah.
change, life evolves and changes, and it's totally okay. And for us to be okay with that
Correct.
shifting. And there's some people who will come along with you if they're like the right alignment with you, and some who
Yes.
won't come along with you. And
Yeah.
can we give up needing to control that piece?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think one exercise that was in the workbook was you pick a number between 1 and 72.
Mhm.
And that is, I think that's the right numerical pattern. But basically, you flick anyone outside of those numbers. You put whoever you want in those numbers, and then you just start to flick them off one by one if they're not within your core circle
Mhm.
or the people that you want to spend the most of your time with. So I thought that
Yeah.
was a cool exercise visually.
Yeah. Yeah, there is a lot. I think for a lot of us, we get, like I'm a really loyal person and I haven't really
Hmm.
thought too much. I feel like it's probably like conditioning, right? Cultural conditioning to be really loyal
Yeah,
to people. And
right.
so it can be really challenging for me when there's no longer alignment with somebody. And
Yeah.
what do you do in that situation? And it doesn't mean you don't care about them or you don't want the best for them, but there's not alignment in terms of the relationship and that's not the right fit anymore. And so sometimes it can be
Hmm.
really challenging to move forward in your life. And so that's where some of the practices that Nash is talking about, I feel like come into play, where you can be like, okay,
Yeah.
like I can just give myself energetic separation from someone who's
Hmm.
just not a fit anymore and to be okay with the fact that someone's not a fit, because I think if you're a loyal
Exactly.
person like me and like Nash, it's like it can be hard. You're just like, oh, like I'm supposed to be friends with you forever. But not all
Yeah.
friendships, and that would also never give us the space to have new friends. Like you
Right.
moved to a new place. I'm a new mom. I'm making a lot of new friends right now, Nash. Like I've been going to parenting groups and meeting women who are in the same stage of life as me. And that doesn't mean
Yeah.
like my friends who already have kids aren't important to me. They're just not at the same stage. So they don't relate, like they relate to it, but they're way past it. They're in a different stage, right? And so it's really
Correct.
nice for
Yes.
me to have people who are in that early parenthood stage and we relate. We talk about like, oh yeah, the baby didn't sleep because he got a vaccination, and then you can just relate to that. And even though my friends probably remember that, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
And so same thing with you. It's like now you're in a stage where like the life stage you're in now with your parents, like with the caregiving with your family, and then also some of the stuff with your career, you're going to find people who are a good fit for supporting you and being a good friend for you in that environment.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, amazing. So what would you say then, like, you've completed the course. What would you say for yourself, like, is your biggest takeaway around what you got from it? What surprised you actually? Like, what was the biggest surprising takeaway from what you got inside?
So I would say the biggest takeaway that surprised me was the detox weekends that we had, using the Geotran book and learning about Geotran, which is something that I never knew about beforehand. So this was all very new to me. And I was definitely a skeptic at first, but then I did notice some change in my energy field as we were going through the detox sessions. Again, combining the Geotran with that weekend, um, you know, it was almost like 8 hours that we spent just talking and going through the different mind gem practices and having everyone kind of share their experience and then doing those mind jumps alongside created that communal space. But I would say how much of a difference in my mood afterwards was the surprise, right? So after
Mm.
I got through the detox and did the mind gem, I'm like, oh, I'm actually feeling better. I don't know if that was like a placebo. But it somehow made me feel so much lighter, right? So those detox sessions and being open-minded to the experience, going through Geotran, going through the mind jam and trying to practice those and really just feeling, being present, being in your body and feeling the energy that's being shared. Even if it's virtual, there's still this energy that we're emitting, right?
Mhm.
That was a surprise. Like I felt so much lighter afterwards, and yeah, it was good. It was a nice detox because you are tired. Let me tell you,
Mhm.
like I was shocked at how little energy I had left afterwards. So there was a lot that was coming out
Mhm.
during the process. So, mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, we call it the
Yeah.
energy detox for a reason. And then she's speaking
Mhm.
to inside the 6-month course, there's 2 weekends where we do deeper work. But I would
Right.
say that that deeper work is really pivotal for people to getting to that next level of like the practices that you're working on. Everything you're doing is incrementally shifting things. And then you go into these energy detox weekends, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, like I feel light. I feel like myself. I feel like I can go do things in my life that I couldn't
Yeah.
do previously. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so what would you say now, like, where are you at now, that you have completed the course? Like, what has changed for you? Like, what's opening up? Like, I know you were saying in your own life, like, what's actually happening?
I think for me, again, just feeling really connected to what I'm experiencing and how I'm feeling is it's what I've gained the most from my time with YCC. It's really important for me to feel present in my body, and just tune in and listen to what is it that I need, right? And really
Mm,
start to visualize or start to, I guess, put together an idea or a vision of how I want my life to look like. So I do a lot of journaling. Again, I try to do the meditation practice as much as I can. And I tune in to what how do I want my life to look like, and start to set goals not just around accomplishments or necessarily around my career, but to actually around the kind of life and relationships that's going to enrich me further,
mm,
um, and really bring that fulfillment that I've been seeking. um, and with my family and my the health of my parents as they're aging and things, those also come into consideration. And, spending time with them and trying to be supportive, um, it's just allowed me to really understand, what's important and what is it that really is going to bring that whole completeness,
mhm,
um, and bring those pieces together so that I just feel like I have it all.
mm.
And it's not around material things, it's more around the connection with myself, nature, family, people that I value.
Yeah, and what it sounds like you're saying too, it's not about that striving anymore, right? It's not
Yes,
about like
it's not
having
about
to
striving.
constantly getting to the next thing. You're like, "Oh, actually there's
Right.
so many things in my life that are actually really important to me already."
Yeah, right. That are important. And I want to continue putting time in those areas, and making them the anchor.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Right, instead of like the side thing because 'cause you're always striving.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's like a really common, I mean, again, it's such a common thing where we're just like, "Oh, I'm gonna achieve, get to the next level, get there, get there, get there," instead of remembering that actually everything that you want is in play in your life, and how can you bring in your focus and your energy to notice that instead of just like,
Yeah,
"How do I get to the next rung of the ladder?"
correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, amazing. So if somebody was thinking about joining the course, what would you share with them about it?
I would say definitely consider it. Coaching is something that's very different. I honestly didn't know what coaching entailed, but I think it's pivotal that you have a coach to walk you through your experiences and help you with identifying tools. And in your particular course, you have the tools. And those tools you'll see as you practice the change. As soon as you start doing them, your mind changes. Like there's a shift that happens, right? And sometimes it's sooner than you realize. But I would say definitely be open-minded. Come in with the intention to fully participate and take on the course. Don't you know, just get by. I would say definitely be 100% in, because that's when you're going to see the biggest shifts and changes within yourself when you're
Mm.
fully committed.
Well, what Nash has said, but I'm going to say it in a different way, is that when you are 100% in, it actually is 100% commitment to self. And then that's when it
Mhm.
gets really powerful. Like that's the next level.
Yeah.
And like you did that the whole time, Nash. You were just like, okay, like I have a lot going on in my life, but I'm going to keep showing up to these calls. I'm going to still keep making this work, even when it feels inconvenient or I feel like I don't want to ask for help because I'm so stressed out. But you kept showing up. And that's really how people ultimately get to that place where you're like, wow, like my life has transformed to be the life that I want. And I didn't have to like go through all these crazy hoops to get there. I just had to
Yeah.
do some of this deeper work, right? To start to understand that for myself. Yeah.
Perfect.
And then
Yeah.
that's actually, which is so cool for Nash, because I'm really excited to see what happens next for you. Because when you get to this place, which is a place that I would also call like a deep place of detachment from how life has to go, and instead of appreciation and a lot of gratitude for what you have now, that's when life opens up. And actually, it's sort of interesting because sometimes people get stuck on ambition. Like, how can I be detached and be ambitious? And I was like, well, actually, detachment gives you so much more than your ambitious
Yeah.
self could actually have envisioned for you.
Correct.
So I'm
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm like really excited for you, Nash, because this is actually just the beginning, right? The first 6 months to me are always like just the beginning of where you can go afterward.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say, going back to the whole detachment, I think a lot of us are so focused on the outcome
Mhm.
that we just want a certain outcome and we think that's going to, pretty much fix all our problems. But we forget that there's a whole process and a journey to get to that outcome. And sometimes the journey may not be worth it. So you have to understand, like, what is it that you need and what are your limitations. And if this is something that you really want, just make sure it's not at the cost of your health, well-being, your
Mm.
relationships.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say too, like it can always be worth it as long as you can understand those lessons, right? Because it might not feel like if you are super depleted, like for sure, but you actually can always look back and say, okay, what did I learn from this? And then how can that help
Yeah,
me shift to make it better? Right. And that's what we do inside
correct.
YCC. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, amazing, Nash. Well, are you ready for some fast action questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Okay, they're really easy. They're super fun. Okay. What is on your nightstand?
On my nightstand, I have a couple of books.
Mhm. Okay,
Yeah,
perfect. Yeah.
actually, I'm going to tell
Simple.
you.
I love it. No, no, that's
Okay.
perfect. Awesome. What was the last thing you watched on television?
Okay, so I started binging on this show called Yellow Jackets. It's on
I've
Paramount.
never seen. Yeah, I don't know that.
It's
Is it
actually
fun?
really good. It's fun. It's like supernatural horror about girls that get stranded after a plane crash and they have to survive.
Okay. I don't like horror, but my husband does. So I'm going to tell him that he
You
should
might
watch that show.
actually enjoy it. It's not like crazy, like bloody horror. It's just like
Yeah.
supernatural. Yeah,
Well, even
horror.
that to me, like any like supernatural, ghosty, like creepy things, I can't sleep, so I don't watch it. But I'm gonna tell him because he loves that stuff.
He might like it. Yeah.
He would like it, yeah. Okay, awesome. And then when was the last time you tried something new, and what was it?
Oh, wow. I feel like I'm always trying something new. The last time I tried something new was actually rock climbing. A friend of mine got
Cool.
me into it and I tried it and I think it's really thrilling and I've enjoyed it. So I'm going to continue doing it.
Super fun. Yeah,
Mhm.
climbing is so
Yeah.
fun. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the last one is what are your top 3 most used emojis?
I'm always okay. My favorite emoji is the one with the tears and they're like laughing
Mhm.
hysterically. So like hysterically laughing emoji. And the other one is like when you have it's like this and they're like thinking.
The thinking one, yeah, the head's kinda
The
tilted
thinking
and your,
one,
like,
yeah,
hand is under your chin.
like,
Yeah.
questionable. And then and the last one would be like the heart emoji.
Mm. Lots of different heart
Yeah.
ones, or do you like the hand heart?
I like the hand heart. Yeah.
The hand heart. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Love the hand heart too. Okay, so fun. Well, Nash, what a joy to have you on. I love just I feel like this with every client. I just love seeing your growth and your expansion, and I also always love like where you're headed to because that's just the fun I get to have as your coach and support and guide. So, thank you so much for sharing your story, your experience, and I know there's so many women out there who are really going to benefit from what you were able to share with us today. So, thank you so much for being on.
Yeah, thank you for having me.